Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how to pick the right niche for your YouTube videos. A niche is the most important factor to growth on YouTube, honestly. The right category is so important. But there's a lot of other factors that I'm going to display on when it comes down to knowing if you are going in the right niche. I'll give you an example. One niche could work for one person and may not work for the other, despite the fact that analytically it proves that both niches are a good niche to go into and can make you a lot of money. One niche may not work out for another person, and in this video I'll break down exactly how to figure out those two different factors on why one niche may work for one guy but the other niche doesn't work for the other. So what I'm going to do is real quick, I have on my iPad that I'm going to go ahead and show you guys kind of something that's a little bit more easy to write down and show you on the screen. One thing first though, before I get into this, I do have, for people who it's hard for you to sometimes brainstorm ideas and brainstorm niches, I understand that's an issue sometimes. I do have another, on the course, there's another section where we have a list of 25 most profitable niches. So you can go in there and you can see the most profitable niches. We already laid it out if you are interested in that. However, for those of you who want to kind of figure out what else is out there and kind of figure out other niches, because there's so many of them, this video will give you a better understanding of how to pick the right one and how to find them. Okay, so my first tip I have before we get into the iPad, the first tip I have is when it comes down to trying to figure out what niche you may be interested in, what niche may be viral, I always recommend to people to go into their YouTube history on their YouTube channel or what they watch on and try to see what do they typically end up watching. You'll be surprised and start realizing patterns of what you normally watch. There'll be a lot of certain things that you watch that you're super interested in and not realize that that's a niche in itself that you could make an entire YouTube channel about. So I always recommend to people, go check out that YouTube history bar that you have on your YouTube channel account, and you can see what you're normally watching, and that should give you an idea of what content maybe you could create if you go down that narrow pathway and seeing what's out there. Now, the other method I have is on this iPad. So let me give you an example. I always recommend to people to go through this process, this kind of worksheet with me. So the first thing I do is I always recommend get a piece of paper, right? This could be, a digital piece of paper in this situation, right? What I'll always do is I'll start figuring out what am I the most interested in commonly across the board. Like what have I showed a lot of interest in? And I'll start adding stuff. So for example, right here, right, I'll add something I'm interested in. Well, I'm interested in, the NFL, right? I love the NFL. That's stuff that I'm interested in, the football league. I love football, right? Not football for those who are in Europe. I'm saying football, American football, right? That's one thing I'm interested in. Cool. And just keep going down this list and start seeing what you're interested in, right? Maybe I'm interested in maybe Fortnite, right? Maybe I'm interested in a video game. That's something I enjoy. These are my interests. Maybe I'm interested in let me just figure out all this, right? This is the process you have to go through and brainstorm. When it comes down to numbers, I recommend maybe getting anywhere from 5 to 10. Get a list of 5 to 10. If you can do more, that's even better. The more, the better, right? Just try to sit down and really, this should take you 2 to 3 hours. 2 to 3 hours, you're just sitting here thinking about what you're interested in. What do you watch on a regular basis on YouTube, right? And just lay it out. Okay, so once you get a list, right, and you have it laid out, the next step is to do your research. So what do I mean by research? So you got to make sure that this list actually has views in it. Make sure that out of each subject that you actually want to go into, you want to figure out which one actually has an audience that is out there that can make you a lot of money. Some niches only have 500 views. And to be honest, if you're only getting 500 views a video, you're not going to be able to pay your bills with that. And so you got to make sure out of these lists of niches, we got to do our research to make sure it has enough views in it that we can make money off of it. And so the next step that I do is I'm going to go into my browser. So let me set that up. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually do a thing called trends.google.com. So if you go to trends.google.com, this website allows you to lay out all sorts of keywords and make sure you find the right keyword for the interest that you have. And it accurately shows how interested broadly people are about the topic. I'll give you an example. If I type in NFL, because that's one of the first interests I had, right? I type in NFL. Then I need to type in the other thing, right? The other thing I have. The thing I have is like movies, right? Well, let's say one of my interests is I love movies. Well, that's a little vague, right? If I just search movies, that's not going to be helpful. I need to search something specific. What specific movie series do I love? Well, Marvel's a movie series I love. I love the series that they have in Marvel. Cool. We gotta be specific like that. You don't want to do something broad, right? So be specific. Well, what's another thing that I like? Well, out of this list, I love Fortnite, right? That's one of the cool video games I like playing. So I'm gonna write down Fortnite. Okay, cool. What other stuff do I like? Well, I kind of like, I don't know, I kind of like luxury. Okay, well, that's a little too broad. So how do we kind of figure out investigation-wise something a little bit more narrow? What is some luxury stuff? Okay, well, maybe like mansions. Maybe that's something I'm interested in. Maybe, okay, cool. So, we can maybe do like mansions or something, right? Something a little bit less broad, okay? And you could just go through the list like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and try to fix it up and be a little bit understanding of like the relevancy. So if we go on Google Trends and we go over here where it says web search and we want to change it to YouTube search. I usually like to do YouTube search because YouTube search actually gives me a better accurate idea of what is searched on. Again, we're making YouTube videos. We're not making Google search videos. We're not making Google articles. We're making videos. And so make sure you filter it to YouTube search. You can change the time frame to whatever you want. You could say past 5 years. I usually just do past 12 months usually. Just that should give me enough of an idea. And again, this is a rough idea. This isn't going to give you 100% accuracy, but it gives you a rough idea. So look, if we look into this, we can see that Fortnite has roughly a 58 relevancy score compared to NFL, which has 5, Marvel has 5. So what that tells me is, all right, Fortnite is searched on YouTube heavily. Okay, cool. I'll take that as a note. So we'll say Fortnite so far, and there's more methods to this to figure out if something's relevant. So don't take this like only. We're going to do another method, so keep watching. But so far, it seems to me like Fortnite is YouTube search authority than all the other keywords. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this little paper I have, this paper, and I'm going to add a note for myself, right? So I'm going to say, search authority, right? So we're going to call it, actually, instead of search authority, because that's long, but it's technically called search authority, I'm going to make it short for us. We're going to call it SA, okay? So SA score is, let's say the SA score is, I don't know, 1 out of 10, right? So 1 out of 10 means it's the number 1. Or actually, no, let's just say number 1. That makes it easier. What am I saying? Let's just say number 1, because obviously out of the list. So cool. Number 1 search is Fortnite. Okay, well, what's the second one? Well, it's NFL and Marvel / movies. They're kind of hand in hand. So we'll probably put them like, I'll say NFL might be number 2, just because I do think a lot of people know what that is, hopefully, unless you're from Europe. So we're going to call this score be number 2. Okay, cool. I'm going to go through movies, SA score, and we're going to say number 3. Cool. Luxury, obviously. Here's what makes it tricky, guys. Sometimes you have to do this. I just did mansions. There's a lot of keywords that's associated with luxury. It could be watches. It could be luxury watches. It could be, there's a lot of keywords. So don't just do one keyword. I recommend doing multiple keywords about a certain thing to get a better understanding. In this situation, though, I'm just rushing through it, but I would say on your own time, be investigating a little bit better and doing different keywords. But let's just say luxury didn't rank so well. And either way, I don't think it's going to rank as good as maybe some of these. So that means it's going to be ranked as number 4. Okay, let's just say, maybe no, and obviously we didn't do business, but let's just say we did, and it's number 4 or number 5, right? Okay, cool. So now we have an idea of, I call it search authority. We have an idea of which niche and which topic has a lot of search authority. Awesome. Now we got to go over to the YouTube platform and do the real investigation with it, which is YouTube authority. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to search for Fortnite. So we're just going to say Fortnite on here. And this will give me a good idea what the average views are getting. So what I do is I do Fortnite, then I go up to the 3 dots over here. If you're on desktop, it should say filter, and I go to search filters. I want to say something like view count, and I want to figure out the relevancy recently. So typically I'll do about this month or this year, depending on the niche. If the niche is small, I'll do this year, but typically I'll do this month. So I'm going to say this month. I want to see how this filter is to see the most views in the last month, so I can see what the average person is getting. And obviously there's going to be some big level guys here, right? Sunday has been a YouTuber for a long time. He's obviously getting crazy amounts of views. Okay, cool. But we can keep going down this list and see what kind of potential is there in this niche. Like, how many views on a monthly basis is there? And you could tell, I mean, freaking Fortnite is killing it, right? So you know Fortnite is probably the number one when it comes down to view count, it seems like right now, okay? Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to add that into the information on our piece of paper. So Fortnite on YouTube, you could tell, seems to be number one as well, okay? So number one, I'm going to call this, let's just call this YA for YouTube Authority, okay? So the YouTube Authority is about number one. Okay, cool. Now let's get back into it and try the other keywords. So I'm going to do NFL because I want to see what NFL is ranking as. Okay, we got to make sure we do the filter. Make sure you don't forget to do the filter whenever you search for the second one. Sometimes it resets the filters, guys. And I'm going to say view count. Cool. Let's see what we see. So NFL. Chiefs versus Chargers, 2.7 million. All right, so that's getting good views, but that's half the size as Fortnite. Not to mention, this is from the official NFL page, which could kind of skew the numbers a little bit because it's a little bit different sometimes if it comes from the official page, but I'm still going to track it just as if it's an individual. So you could tell there is a lot of views. Like Destroying is a guy who's a personality brand. He got some views. NFL Breaking Unwritten Rules. This is actually a really good example, guys. For faceless videos like we make for YouTube automation videos, something like this guy, Sporting Videos 2, uploaded, NFL Breaking Unwritten Rules. That's the exact same title and almost thumbnail you would actually do yourself if you were doing this business model. So finding someone like him is actually a good sign. To see that he got 2.3 million views in 6 days, that's incredible. That's good. He is proof of concept. So all of a sudden, I'm like, oh shoot, NFL might be in the number 2 spot for YouTube Authority. All right, awesome. And you can keep going through this on your own time and do the exact same thing. You're just trying to compare the numbers to make sure it's aligning with each other is all I'm trying to say. Make sure that you end up seeing which numbers have the most views in the last month and then start writing that down. All right, so we're going to put NFL as number 2, like so. Cool. And then luxury, I'm going to write this down to make it easier on us. So YA Authority. YA Authority. Okay, cool. All right, now let's investigate Marvel and luxury next. All right, so here's Marvel. If I go to the filters, we gotta make sure we filter this thing. Let's see, this month. Cool. All right, 6. So boom, look at that. Looks like I was wrong. Looks like Marvel, right now at least, has a lot more views than I thought. So if you scroll down here, you guys can see, I mean, dang, like 10 million views, like freaking 14 million. Actually, one thing I noticed, guys, some of these are shorts. I don't count shorts. I should just say that. So YouTube shorts are videos that's less than a minute. I don't count those. Those are not in the equation of if something's relevant in my head. So something like this guy, Kiddio Games, I don't count that guy because that's a YouTube short. Same for this guy, Mr. Gordon. I don't count those, all right? I'm counting the long form content, 9 minutes. Even 2 minutes is technically long form in my opinion. So that's what I want to count. But even then, putting those into factors, it's huge. It's huge. So Marvel might take the number 2 spot over NFL is what I'm saying, all right? Look at this. We can keep scrolling, and it proves to be that Marvel is number 1 or number 2. So all of a sudden, it changes the game. So now this right here is no longer number 2. It's number 3 on the search on YouTube. And now something like Marvel is number 2. You see what I'm saying? Actually, it technically would be number 1 now that I think about it because Fortnite had less views. But I will say, guys, sometimes I might bump it up a little bit if there's more videos out there on one certain niche that got more views than the other. So I'll give you an example. If you go on the Fortnite search, there's a whole lot more videos on Fortnite keyword that got way more millions of views, right? Way more videos that got millions of views compared to Marvel. However, Marvel got more overall views, but less videos. So sometimes that becomes a little competition in my head where I kind of compare those two. I'm like, I might lean a little bit more towards something that may have more videos, but sometimes it really depends on your approach. What I'm trying to explain is both niches are good, but what I'm trying to say depends on your approach. Somebody like me, I'm the type of guy where I'm like, I might spend $200 per video if I want to go all out. If I want to go all out, I might spend $200 a video just to compete with all the Fortnite guys. I might do that. However, for someone like you who may not have $200 to spend per video, then I would say the best thing to do is go into a less competitive space, like maybe Marvel might be that less competitive space because there's less videos. You see what I'm saying? So it just depends on your approach on how you would look at it and how you want to go about it. Luxury, I think we already know, just based on the YouTube search or the Google search, it's not really that relevant. And so I don't think I'm going to put luxury as past any of these. I think we already know it's number 4 in my books. Obviously, on your own time, you want to actually do the research, but I've been doing this long enough. I actually think number 4 for luxury, and the others would be in the rank that we have it now. So that should give you a better understanding when it comes down to investigating and researching a niche and figuring out which one you like the most. So what does this mean now that we have this data in front of us? If I see 2 different ones as number 1s, that's the one I'm going into, which happens to be Fortnite. Fortnite's the one I would go into if I'm doing the research. Now, again, like I said, the comparison I just told you, you may have to spend more money on videos. You may have to put more time into the video quality if you want to compete with all those people. Someone like me, that's not an issue. I know the game like the back of my hand, right? However, if you're someone who doesn't have as much experience, which is probably why you're watching this course, then I would actually advise something like movies or Marvel. And then once you get the capital, the money starts coming in on this channel, the movies and Marvel channel, then you take that money, possibly make a Fortnite channel. You see what I'm saying? So it really depends on how you want to go about it. It's up to you. But I personally think, for me, just based on the research, Fortnite seems like it's pretty much close to the number 1 factor. So that's pretty much how I break down an understanding of how it works when it comes down to, like, just what I want to do on a niche. Now, one final tip I'll leave you off with is, if you're going into any single niche, any niche, you have to be obsessed with it. Obsessed. I mean, like, all you think about is that niche. You're always working on watching videos around that niche. You're always on top of the recent news of that niche. If you're going to go into any topic, you have to be the person in that topic and always be obsessed with it. You got to be thinking about it nonstop. I'm not kidding, guys. If you really want success on YouTube, you have to go into one niche, be very narrow about it, and know every single thing about that niche. So just because we did the research doesn't mean you're going to all of a sudden go viral. It means you have to be obsessed about the topic you now are going into. So just a heads up. But other than that, that's pretty much the way I pick a niche and everything like that. If you have any questions, make sure you join the Mastermind Facebook group that we have. The information should be somewhere on the course. And check that out. If you have any questions, you can go over there and we'll help you out. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Take care.